Welcome to the Average Albertan Podcast, episode number 3. Today we have Ryan back, and of course we're going to talk more Oilers. Eric couldn't quite make it tonight, so we'll have him on a future episode to, poke a little bit more fun about him and his Leafs. Was a great episode in episode 2. If you haven't watched it, go back, check it out. It was interesting to hear a Leafs perspective about their demise again in this year's playoffs. This episode, of course, we're going to talk about the Calgary series and the conference final against the Avalanche. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. Hope you find this an interesting episode. Just some average guys who love their community, love their province, and love their hockey. Go Oilers! Enjoy the episode. Both of us picked the Flames in 6. I was shocked, but pleasantly shocked, that the Oilers were able to pull this out in 5 games. And before we break it down, I've got my old retro Oiler jersey on here. And I have to ask you, in your lifetime, what has been your favorite Oiler jersey?
Well, that retrofit, that one right there, the oil drop, that's the first one I remember getting in. But I'd have to say the favorite one would be the signed Jordan Eberle jersey.
Well, is it your favorite because it's signed, or is it favorite because of the color scheme?
I like I don't have a I like the color scheme, yeah, with the orange shoulder pads and blue throughout the rest of the jersey. But at the time, I was a huge Jordan Eberle fan, so it was great getting that autograph and in person too.
And so that was probably from about 2010, 2011?
Yeah, it would have been probably 2012, probably right around there.
And was that their dark blue jersey? I think it probably would have been a home jersey back then. Was it a dark blue one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dark blue, but it still had the orange shoulder pads.
All right. Yeah, they've especially in the later last few years, they have a lot of different variations of jerseys around the league. I mean, and it makes sense. They want to market it and sell more jerseys. The orange ones that I don't think they're using in the playoffs this year, are they? They're only using the white ones and then the
dark ones. We'll get into that a little later. Those dark ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think that the jersey you chose, that dark blue from the early 2000s, yeah, that definitely is a nice jersey. I do like the orange one, though. I have to admit, I think the orange one has grown on me.
I have a web page here with the orange and the blue, with the blue shoulder pads. It does look nice here.
Okay, yeah. I'll throw a visual up so people can see which one we're talking about. All right, let's go on to kind of a breakdown of the series. 5-game series, so it was over, in a blink of an eye. And like you said, it's too bad because both Calgary and Edmonton, the communities, the cities were vibrant. There was a lot of excitement. There were jerseys and car flags and all that kind of around both communities. And then it was just kind of over, I think, within probably just over a week. So let's break this down, starting with game 1. What were some of the things you took out of game 1 as you were watching it, and then maybe the day after as well as you reflected on it?
Confirmation. I've always said for the longest time that the Oilers are a team that needs to take a shot in the mouth before they realize they're in a fight. You see it games in the regular season, even in the playoff series. LA came out, slapped the Oilers around. We came back and more or less dominated the series.
Okay.
Calgary come out, take a pretty big shot in the mouth, and then we sweep them. So this game here, it was a heartbreaker. I was concerned. I did feel like the Oilers needed this. It was nice to see him come back from 6-2 down, tie it up early in the third. But then it's just Calgary had the momentum. They kept on going. So it was needed. It was a heartbreaker, but
Yeah,
that was the score.
I think when Edmonton did come back and tie it up 6-6, I thought it was the Oilers game. I thought there was no way the Oilers were going to lose that game, and I thought they would carry that momentum and win the series. Calgary did win this game, but like you said, I think it was a wake-up call for Edmonton. I think they realized they had to tighten up their defense, and this was the perfect Battle of Alberta in game one. It was physical, there were goals galore, and unfortunately Edmonton was on the losing end. But I think they learned a lot out of this first game. The second game number 2 in Calgary, was 5-3 for Edmonton. Any special moments out of this game that you want to mention?
Well, again, we're down 2-0 early, just minutes into the game. And this time we make the comeback. I think we make the comeback to 3-3. We're down 3-1, I believe. 2-0, then 3-1, and we end up just pulling it out and winning. So probably still a little, or I don't know, maybe for lack of a better term, shyness from the last game. Calgary jumps on us early, thinking they're all that and more, and we get our feet back under us, and this was the turning point. This game was the turn. We started playing our game and we stopped playing Calgary's game.
Did you have that feeling when we were down 2-0? Edmonton typically has that reputation of slow starts. And did you think, well, here we go again, another slow start that we probably can't come back from?
I didn't think it was a slow start we couldn't come back from. It felt different. It felt different this going down 2-0. It felt like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever, but it's still 55 minutes left in the game. We can easily come back. There was hope.
Yeah. And the stats, the probability, the different analysis of this series at the beginning was for a Calgary victory. And I think most of the experts were picking Calgary. And based on, the Corsi and all those, different analytics that are
fancy
done.
Stats.
Yeah. They had Calgary coming out on top in 5, 6, or 7 games. And again, you got to play the games. The numbers and everything on paper sometimes doesn't play out the way it does in real life. All right, let's go on to game 3. So game 3 back in Edmonton, pretty dominant game by Edmonton, only giving up 1 goal in the third.
Yeah, it was a Hyman Kane show. The 2 big free agent signings we had this year came out and played. Kane with the hat trick in 6 minutes, and Hyman that opened up the scoring.
Yeah, I think they counted the hats, and I think it was over 1,000 hats that were thrown on the ice for Kane's hat trick. I think it was an Oiler record for hats on the ice, and Draisaitl.
His celebration that celebration is the attitude that the Oilers need. The just stand up and toss off the fake hat like that. Like no Oiler in the past 10 years would ever do something like that.
Yeah. And Draisaitl had a fantastic game. He assisted on all 4 goals. Connor, of course, was Connor. So the big guys really dominated in that game. Game 4, again in Edmonton, 5-3, just like game 2 was. Anything that stands out in that, I think, was a pivotal game. Oilers, I think, confidence-wise, they needed to win that game and not have the series go back to Calgary 2-2.
Yeah, it was make it or break it. I think this game was as much as a need win than any other game in the series, other than obviously taking the series. But it was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins coming up party this playoffs. Scored the opening goal on a bad bounce, which is nice to get a bad bounce yourself, and he ended up scoring the game winner. So it was the Nuge coming out and playing.
And don't you feel good for him? Like
I do. It was great. It was such,
all
yeah. Of all the players, it's the guy who's been sitting here suffering for 11 years.
and he's been so loyal to Edmonton, and he's not the poster boy of Edmonton. He was the first overall pick, but
He
he's
was the guy for a year, and then we drafted Draisaitl, and then he wasn't the guy anymore.
yeah, but he's the guy that you always root for. Like you hope
Yeah.
he breaks out, you hope he has his moment, and Game 4 definitely was his moment. And then we're going back to Calgary for Game 5. And this was an exciting game. This was a game with lots of goals in a very short period of time. So what do you take out of Game 5?
Well, I want to get back to those black jerseys. I think Calgary tied it up because of our black jerseys. Mike Smith completely lost sight of the puck. They score from just beyond their blue line. And if you look at the replays, there's a few other players that kind of crossed his vision just as the puck was fired down the ice, and he couldn't see it. It was black on black. I think our jerseys shot us in the foot there.
Excellent point. Yes, the dark jerseys with the black puck. Mike Smith, over 40 years old, maybe his eyesight's not the best anymore. Tell me what was going through your mind in that second period where I think there were 4 goals within 2 minutes.
It was a lot of up and downs because we went from leading to behind to tied. So it was a here we go again. Calgary's back out at front, and then we tied it up, and you felt a little better about yourself.
And did you ever think that game was in doubt? Was there ever a moment where you said Edmonton's not going to win this game?
Yeah, when Mike Smith let in that goal, I thought that wasn't our night. It was that potentially series busting goal. The bad goal led in to tie it up. Let Calgary have a chance at the game. They come back and they're on a roll, and next thing you know, we're gone in 7. But in overtime, of course, Connor McDavid from Leon Draisaitl scores a nice little under the glove shot, and we're off.
And we got to address the elephant in the room, the Blake Coleman.
Oh yes, the
goal that was disallowed. What was your take on that?
I was watching with my wife, and she yelled at the TV when we let that goal in. And after the first replay, I said, "Whoa, wait a second! I think this is coming back." That was my first. I guess the first impression was, "Oh my God, here we go! How are we going to tie it up with 5 minutes left?" But after seeing the first replay, I had a feeling that was getting called back. Yeah, and it's about time the Oilers get a call like that, because so often they seem to go against us. But I think we're starting to, if you're not lucky, you're not good.
I think there is a change in how officials are seeing Edmonton, and how Edmonton is starting to gain favor, I think, in the hockey community again, where they were always the team easy to pick on and never got those calls. Back in 2017, Ryan Kessler on Cam Talbot's pads.
I think that 2017 goal, if that was scored today, I think that would have went the Oilers' way.
Yeah, most likely. In overtime, did you see any other chances where it was an almost goal for either team, or was it really only McDavid's goal to win it that was the only scoring chance?
Mike Smith made a couple good saves, a couple where you're biting your knuckles going, gotta get the puck out. But no, he stood tall. After that, he could have folded. He could have folded, and he's shown in the past that he can get inside his head after letting in a bad goal. But after that game, after that goal, he stood tall.
When we look at the Oilers stats in the playoffs, McDavid and Draisaitl have just been running away, with the points, as you would expect.
And it's the same. 7 goals each, 19 assists each. They're playing the exact same.
Kind of like the Sedin twins, huh?
Hey, yeah, more or less.
Vancouver fans? Like the Edmonton's version of the Sedin twins, who always seem to have identical kind of statistics at the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you would have asked me who was leading the Oilers in points, I would have thought McDavid by far was leading. Has Draisaitl quietly put in the points without the recognition, or has it been pretty obvious that he's been racking up the points?
It's been obvious, but Draisaitl's built for playoff hockey. In 2017, he had more points than McDavid. This year, I think the only reason why he's not the points leader, because I'm surprised. I think, McDavid's time to shine is the regular season. Draisaitl's time to shine is the playoffs. And I think why Draisaitl's a little behind is because he's playing with a bum leg or a bum ankle or something. They're being very cagey about it, but I think he could easily have a few more points.
So what stands out for me, Ryan, is the plus minus. McDavid at a plus 19. That's got to be a record breaker as well. Only in after round 2 to be a plus 19 on your team. And the only other Oiler kind of close is Darnell Nurse at plus 11.
Which is surprising.
What can you say about that?
Hurt.
What's that?
That's kind of surprising too, because he's also playing hurt, Darnell Nurse.
Yeah. And he did miss that one game as well.
Yeah. Well, that was a suspension, but yeah. With McDavid's play, he's playing he's driven to win. He'll do anything he can to like, you watch him and he's trying to do everything in his power to drag the Oilers into the fight.
And I don't even think he's at his peak yet. Like how old is he now? 24?
Yeah, 24. He has a couple years left in his prime, and he can get better.
Yeah, which is pretty scary. Anyone else here on the Oilers, in terms of their performance that has stood out for you, either offensively, defensively, physically, unsung hero?
Well, this is why I was hoping Eric was going to show up today. You look at we'll list off 3 names. The last one's going to have a little asterisk beside it, but Hyman, CC, and Barry. All 3 of those guys have recently been on the Leafs. And 2 of those guys are incredibly noticeable and incredibly they're part of every win. Hyman.
And who is that? CC and Hyman?
CC and Hyman. Barry's not playing like he did last year, but he's still a valued member in the top 6 D pairings.
Yeah.
And those are guys that Toronto just slipped through their hands, whether through trading them or just not wanting to be there anymore. And they come out west and they're regaining that confidence. Like Hyman's scoring better than what he ever did for Toronto in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think Hyman was a contract situation and the salary cap with Toronto. I think they would have loved to keep him because he played well with Matthews, but I don't think they could afford to pay him what he wanted. CC is a bargain based on how he's doing in the playoffs. Like the contract that he signed.
I think we signed him for 4 years at $5.5. Like that guy could get $8 million if he was to go free agent this year.
Yeah, I have to admit, he has surprised me. I did not know he was as good defensively as he's showing so far in the playoffs.
Like we lost Larson in the expansion draft to Seattle, and I don't even notice he's gone.
Yeah.
Like that guy was our number 1 shutdown pairing defenseman last year, and with CC coming in, you don't even notice that we lost him.
How about the hidden gem, the player that most people would not mention that deserves a little bit of recognition?
Bouchard, a couple of defensemen, Bouchard and Keith. Okay. Bouchard, young guy coming in, still making a difference, and Keith just got lit up by most fans all year long for being a $5.5 million cap hit and not bringing it. Well, he's bringing it to playoffs. He's bringing it when it matters.
Okay. And how about we got to talk about Mike Smith in net? Tell me a little bit
Yeah,
about what you've seen from Mike Smith so far.
that's another Holland acquisition that or signing, I guess. Like 3 years ago, Oilers were fighting for Markstrom with Calgary, and Markstrom ends up going to Calgary, and here we are. And Smith outduels Markstrom for the second round and moves Edmonton past.
You mean Koskinen?
No, Calgary with Markstrom.
Oh, Markstrom. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we
Yeah,
we were in a fight with Calgary to sign Markstrom as our leading or as our starting goalie, and Markstrom played like a backup, and
Yeah,
Smith played
Markstrom
like
had a horrible series. I agree with that. Yeah.
Smith played like he was the guy that we were trying to sign in Markstrom.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the conference finals and up against the Avalanche. And so the Avalanche went through a 6-game series, or was it 6 or 7 with the Blues?
7
6.
or no 6? Sorry, they went 6. Yeah.
Yeah, they went 6 games with the Blues. Hard fought series, very physical series. But again, I think the talent won out over the grit there. And, when we look at, some of the things to look forward to in this series based on the Colorado media here, it's going to be fun seeing McDavid and Draisaitl coming over the boards every other minute. Josh Manson, who plays for Colorado, is, of course, the son of Dave Manson, who is one of the assistant coaches. And it was pretty cool. Dave Manson texted his dad. And basically, when he texted his dad, he said, "Hey, I hope you win tonight. I want to see my granddaughter." So we got a little bit of a family rivalry.
Yeah.
So with the Colorado Edmonton series, which begins on Tuesday, May 31st, depending when you're watching this video, first 2, of course, in Colorado, 2 in Edmonton, and then it alternates as always. And it looks like it's every second day. So I guess that's nice. It's going to give Mike Smith the time he needs to recuperate.
Well, he's had a few days off here.
Yeah. How do you see this series going? What's in the crystal ball?
I think what you're seeing is the first face-off of probably the best 2 Western Conference teams that will be the next 5 years. I think Colorado and Edmonton are going to be the cream of the crop in the West. But the starting goaltending, would you take Kemper or Markstrom? I would take Markstrom every day of the week. I don't think Kemper holds a candle to Markstrom. So if we were able to light up Markstrom every night for 5 goals, I mean, Colorado's defense is a little better, but I think we're going to have an easier time once getting past the D to get the puck past Markstrom or Kemper.
So do you see these as being high-scoring games for the most part?
Oh, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Or we're seeing, 5 of the top 10 scorers in the playoffs right now?
Yeah.
Maybe more?
Yeah, I like what you had to say about these teams in the future meeting up. On paper, I agree with you that these should be the 2 best teams in the Western Conference. I mean, you can never count Vegas out because Vegas always seems to acquire these high-level players.
That's really catching up with them now.
Yeah. And then there's always upsets that happen. I mean, Edmonton almost lost out to LA in 7 games. Calgary almost lost out to Dallas. So you're always going to have these upsets. But on paper, these should be the best 2 teams for at least the next 5 years.
Yeah. And again, 2 more names that can be linked back to Toronto is Kadri and Bozak.
Right.
Wouldn't Toronto like to have those 2 guys right now too?
Yeah.
That's 5. That's 5 guys in the Western Conference Finals that Toronto has had in the past couple of years and just no longer.
Yeah. Well, so when we get
Eric, if you're listening to this, put a comment in the comment section.
yeah, Eric, Eric, you got to be a little bit happy that these Maple Leafs are making a contribution
Yeah.
that either Kadri or Hyman and Cece are going to make the finals. It's got to make you feel good as a Leafs fan.
Oh yeah.
And, and one of them might even win the cup. There you go.
Yeah.
So when we look at the playoffs, of course, round number 2 is over tonight, and last night
the Rangers just won 6-2.
oh, they won 6-2.
I've been watching the score in the background here.
Okay, and the
So
final
it's
score.
Rangers Tampa.
Okay, and it was 6-2. You said.
Yeah.
Oh wow, it was 3-0 at the end of the second. So,
Well,
there was
the Hurricanes, they lost their backup goalie, so they had their third stringer in there. They
oh
had
really? Oh yeah, and that was a series that all the home team was winning each game. It was 3-3 on home ice, and the Rangers were able to pull it out. But I think I predicted the Rangers in our last episode that they had the better goalie and they would win out. So it was goaltending probably that cost Carolina. All right, let's go on to the conference finals. We have Tampa Bay and New York. They will probably start on Wednesday or Thursday. Tampa's had a lot of rest on Wednesday. Okay, so Tampa's had a lot of rest. New York has gone to 7 games in both their series against the Penguins and against Carolina. They got to be feeling a little bit worn down. How do you see that series going? Who wins? How many games?
Well, New York has proven me wrong every step of the way. It's going to be quite hard to go against them. But that, you saying Game 7 for the last 2 series, and Tampa's been sitting there for the last 9 days waiting for an opponent. I mean, it's hard to go against the Cup champs. But at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers win.
Okay, so you're on record saying the Rangers are going to take it?
No.
YouTube videos live in forever.
I know. No, I'm going to have to go. This is a hard one. It's harder than just because the Rangers have proven me wrong the last two series. I thought they should have been out in the first round. I'm going to go Tampa still. I still got to go Tampa. They're that team that can just hit cruise control in the regular season and they wake up for the playoffs.
How many games?
6.
Okay, I'm going Tampa. I'm going to take Tampa in 5. I think Rangers, if they do win a game, it'll be the first game just because they're more in hockey mode and Tampa's been off. But I could see Tampa winning this in 4. I just think the Rangers have to be out of gas playing 2 7-game series against 2 really good teams.
But they're
all right.
Yeah. No, they don't have injury problems right now though. And they're built well.
And two Russian goalies going at each other, huh? Vasilevsky and
Vasilevsky's the best player in the world when it comes to the playoffs. There's no other better player right now when it comes to the playoffs. Is that's him. Like you look at his Game 7 record, and he's only ever let in 1 goal in 7 games.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of Rangers in my playoff pool, so I did pick them in the Final Four, but I don't know if they're going to go much further. All right, the series everyone's been waiting for: McKinnon versus McDavid, Draisaitl versus Kane, or versus Kadri, or Kane versus Kadri, probably more like it.
Hyman versus Kadri.
Hyman versus Kadri, yeah. How do you see it? What do you think, Ryan?
We played Colorado in the last month of the season 3 times. And I'd have to say that those 3 games were some of the best hockey that we played in the regular season. So we definitely wake up to dance with Colorado. McDavid isn't like both. You can say that both for McKinnon and McDavid, they don't want to see their team lose, and they've had playoff bad luck for the last little while. It's going to come down to Smith and Kemper. I think. I think forwards and D is a wash. It's who can hang on the longest, Smith or Kemper. And Smith's experience and age and his ability so far in the playoffs to let a bad goal go and just move on from it. And I did say last episode that if the Oilers get past Calgary, they're making the Cup final. So I'm going to have to stick with the Oilers. And I'm going to say 6 games.
Okay. I think all hockey fans are going to be in for a treat. Even if it's a sweep by one team, this is going to be old school hockey. This is going to be up and down the ice, north-south hockey. It's going to be physical at times, of course, with Kane and Kadri and Hyman, but we're going to be in for a treat. This is going to be fantastic to watch. And I think the higher profile defense is Colorado with Makar and with Byron Boehm, and
they're the 2 best young defensemen in the league, I think, except for maybe Adam Fox.
Byron, and Devin Taves is pretty good. He's a good defender as well, and Gerard is really good. And
I think Nurse and Cece. I think Nurse and Cece is a better top pairing than what Colorado has.
I was wondering if St. Louis would have beat Colorado. I think I'd rather play Colorado, actually, because St. Louis has that experience and age and might be able to play the mind games a little bit more. I think we have a good shot against Colorado. I think it's going to go 7 games, and it's a coin flip. I think it could go late into that game 7 to have a winner. I think home ice is going to be a big thing. I think Edmonton's going to play much better at Rogers Place.
Well, it's the Mile High City factor.
I'm just glad Colorado didn't have a lot of rest. They played one day past the Edmonton series, so both teams, no one really has an advantage rest-wise. I don't know injury-wise how Colorado is. I know that probably Kane has a little bit of an injury, Draisaitl a little bit of an injury, Nurse a little bit probably of an injury. I'm going to go Avalanche in 6. I'm going to pick Avalanche in 6. And you're going Edmonton in 7?
Edmonton in 6.
Edmonton in 6. Okay, so we both have it going in 6 games. So you have a Cup final of Edmonton and the Rangers.
No, Edmonton and Tampa.
Yeah. Okay, and I have Colorado and Tampa. It'll be fun to watch. We will know definitely by June the 12th. I know you have a special day coming up, and that will be around game 6 and 7, around that kind of time. So hopefully Edmonton will win this in 4. I mean, it wouldn't shock me. Would it shock you if Edmonton won in 4?
It wouldn't shock me if either team won it in 4. I just hope Edmonton does.
Yeah.
It's going to be ridiculous. There's going to be chances either way.
Yeah. I agree. It could go 4 games. It could go 7 games. Like Edmonton, I don't know if they've ever played Colorado in the playoffs. Can you think of them?
In 98? We did in 98 and we won in 7. And we did one other time and Colorado swept us. I think that was 91. Oh, no, that was 80. Oh, yeah, no, 91, I think.
So it's pretty much just like the Battle of Alberta. It's been a while since we played Colorado.
Yeah, but I think we will see more of the Avalanche in the playoffs in the future than Calgary. I think this is going to turn into a rivalry.
Yeah, and I think Tkachuk is up for a contract this year.
Goudreau is.
Okay.
He's going to be looking for probably $10 million. Tkachuk Tkachuk is either this year or next year, and he's going to be wanting around that $10 million mark. They're going to have problems here right away, Calgary.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's going to be exciting hockey starting tomorrow night in Colorado. I believe all the games start at 6:00. Let me just check the schedule here.
And I just want to say this before you hit end, because it never made it to the last cut, is that Mike Smith is playing motivated. That guy's 40 years old. He has 1 year left on his contract, and I can almost guarantee you he won't have another contract in the NHL, and he doesn't have a cup. That guy's going to play desperate. And I think this year's Oilers is going to be better than next year's Oilers.
Okay, let's end off on this, Ryan. Edmonton fans have been suffering for years, only making the playoffs a couple times in the last 20 years. As an Oiler fan, as a diehard, loyal Oiler fan all your life, are you satisfied if they lose in this round? Are you okay? Not okay with it, but is it a successful season for you as an Oiler fan if they lose to Colorado?
Yeah. I think if you make it to the Final Four, you can hang your hat up at the end of the day and say you had a successful season. Okay. If you're in the Final Four, then you're considered a cup contender all year long. And the Oilers definitely were not a cup contender all year long. We were out of the playoffs there for a couple weeks, looking like the season was over, and here we are.
Yeah, I think, making the Final Four, most fans would be like, I'd be happy with it, but this is our chance.
You're that close.
Yeah, this is our chance. Like, we may not get here again for a while. Like, we got to take advantage of it. And again, we'll see how things play out. I'm just hoping there's, everyone's healthy and everyone, is able to play every game, get the best quality players on the ice at all the time. And I'm glad that in the Calgary series that the overtime goal wasn't controversial. I mean, Coleman's goal was, but there were still 5 minutes left in the game. It wasn't a series-ending goal.
No.
And
I would hate to have been the official to make that call, though. That's a difficult call to make. It was a gray area, and it easily could have gone either way, depending on how you're feeling that day.
Yep. All right. Well, I think we're going to end that here, and we will be back regardless of how Edmonton does at the end of next series, and we'll discuss the Colorado series and how that went. And any kind of final closing thoughts about this series coming up or the other series? Anything that we didn't address?
No, I think it's going to be a good series. Win or lose, don't burn down the city. So just enjoy the ride. We'll get back here again one day, even if we're out now. Even though next year's Oilers may not be as good as this year's Oilers, I still think it's going to be a damn good team next year. Especially with Woodcroft. Let's not even get started about Woodcroft. You can give that guy the key to the city right now.
And regardless of what happens, the Oilers beat the Flames.
And go further than Toronto.
That in itself is like a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And McDavid, I don't think we're going to hear from the Toronto media. McDavid is whispering he wants out of Edmonton.
Yeah, no, I think the Toronto media has been very quiet the last couple of weeks. It's been nice.
Yes. And I mean, they're still pushing for Matthews to be the Hart Trophy winner, the MVP of the league. Yeah. I think these playoffs really show who the best player in the world is.
Oh, and even the best two players in the world are.
Yeah. I would put Draisaitl and Matthews even. I think they're both excellent players. But McDavid, he's definitely
he's on another level. He's playing with college kids right now.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, that is all we're going to go through today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Life in Alberta channel. We cover not only hockey, but there's consumerism. We talk about local communities. There's a video about Westlock, video about Ukraine, immigration to Canada. So lots of different things that you guys can kind of get a little Albertan flavor from. If you're watching this from outside of Alberta, welcome. Tune in again. And if you're watching this from Europe because you're a huge hockey fan, hope you're enjoying the hockey, even though you're probably up late at night watching it over there. But thank you for tuning in as well. This is Life in Alberta. Once again, thank you, Ryan, for joining in today for the third episode. And let's hear your best Go Oilers Go chant.
Go Oilers Go.
All right. We'll see you later. Have a wonderful night.